Looking back on this trilogy makes me feel really old. On a positive note, hello, I'm Lino Mars of the MMCA Productions crew, and today I'm here to look at Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy, specifically the best moments.
What were the moments that defined it? Well, today I'm here to count it down.
So, without further ado, this is the top 10 best moments of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. Also, spoiler warning. Number 10. Great power and responsibility. After Peter had just come off his win against Bonesaw, he comes across a big crowd circled around his wounded uncle. This is an emotionally driven scene, and despite the fact that Uncle Ben doesn't have a lot of screen time in this movie, you do feel Peter's pain and Uncle Ben's sorrow. Peter leaves, and we get our first act of Spider-Man. Number 9. Doc Ock is born. This scene stands out from Spider-Man 2, but in a good way. Sam Raimi showcases his talents as a director. For a majority of Spider-Man 2, it is dramatic, comedic, and action-packed. But one thing I wasn't expecting watching this back in 2004 was a scene that is horror-driven. It all starts with doctors looking to surgically remove his mechanical arms. And then this happens. Now I see why this wasn't a hard PG. Dark, horror-driven, and great directing from Sam Raimi, but why it wasn't higher was 'cause of this. Number 8. Stan Lee's cameo in Spider-Man 3. In previous films, he didn't have speaking cameos, but here is a heartfelt and beloved cameo of Stan Lee himself. Enough said.
You know, I guess one person can make a difference. Enough said.
Number 7. Flint Marko asking for forgiveness. Now say what you will about Spider-Man 3, but there were specks of gold in this film. This is one of them. After the not-so-well-received retcon of Flint killing Uncle Ben, he decides to come clean with Peter. Now, I don't know about you, but I can sympathize with Flint Marko. He has a sick daughter, he can't live with himself for what happened, and he is at least man enough to come clean and tell Peter what really happened that night.
I told your uncle all he wanted was the car.
What is it?
I need your car.
He said to me, "Why don't you just put down the gun and go home?"
I forgive you.
Number 6. The climax. Don't you just love superhero films? Lighthearted fun and problems resolved with no trouble at all? After Spider-Man saves MJ and a cart full of kids, a rather tense scene gets flung into an abandoned building where the movie takes a turn for the dark. I just love the utter brutality and the weight of these hits. This feels like a climactic fight. As an adult, I can appreciate that they didn't gloss over Green Goblin's defeat. Going full dark was the right choice. Number 5.
Who is Spider-Man? He's a criminal, that's who he is. A vigilante, a public menace.
All of Jonah Jameson's scenes. Let's face it, all of J.K. Simmons' scenes in this trilogy are scene stealers. Anytime he's on screen, comedic genius strikes. Now you could say that this is a cop-out saying all of them, but if I had to choose one, it would be this one.
But could you pay me in advance?
You serious?
Number 4, Sandman forming. The CGI animators really delivered in this scene after studying sand movements and sand particles for a whole year. This scene is yet another underrated moment in the OG Spider-Man trilogy. The weight of emotions, sorrow, guilt, and confusion, held up again by the score. It encapsulates Sandman's motives and how he controls his powers. Number 3, the alleyway scene. Do I even have to say anything about this? This is one of the most memorable, if not the most memorable scene of the first movie. It's even on the back of the home releases. There's nothing more to say. Moving on. Number 2, the train sequence. Holy crap! This is freaking amazing. Spider-Man returns after losing his powers and a stint of self-doubt to have this epic fight with Doc Ock, who is holding Mary Jane captive. They encounter and talk, then they go at it. And then, oh, Spider sense! No, he's gotta get the people! He's gotta get the people! The train! Here goes the train! Here goes the train! There goes the train! Spider-Man then puts a stop to the train after 15 minutes of action-packed goodness. I gotta say, the people on the train reacting to Spider-Man's true identity is the icing on the cake. I love this. Now, before I get to number 1, here are some of my honorable mentions. The second you find out you have powers, you do this too. For the first time in the film, things are going good for our favorite webhead, and him getting cheers after he finishes his match is so satisfying. A great moment ripped straight out of the comics, and a rather emotional moment. Peter saving someone without his powers. What an inspiration. This is exactly what Peter needed, and who better to give him motivation than Aunt May. Now for the number 1 Sam Raimi Spider-Man moment, and it is... Number 1. The first 15 minutes of Spider-Man 2. Why the first 15 minutes, you ask? Well, let's elaborate. Peter's been Spider-Man for a couple years up to this point. He's a young adult, juggling 2 jobs, college, and rent. He has so much on his plate that he forgot his own birthday. As you can see within this time, Peter is struggling in life, which is what Spider-Man is all about. Having responsibilities and problems and how to deal with them. This is vintage Spider-Man. At 8 years old, I didn't fully understand the struggles Peter goes through. But now that I'm roughly his age, I fully understand, and it's relevant to me because of that. Keeping a job isn't easy, and well, life isn't easy. I'm sure many young adults can relate aside from the spider powers and protecting the city. Peter goes through all that and goes home to a rundown apartment. Just another day living as a grown-up. By the end of it, you just really want things to look up for Peter. And that's why it is my #1 favorite moment of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy.
Oh. I don't think this covers the advance I gave you a couple weeks ago.
Oh, right.
Sorry. Hey. Chin up, okay?
Good pacing, character investment, and a whole lot of humanizing moments for a humanizing character. Did I miss any of your favorite moments? Feel free to comment your favorite moments in the comment section below. I'd love to read them. As always, I'm Lino Mars of the MMC Productions crew, and I'll see you next time.